This is a story about a gray area. We all know the great feeling when a project is successful and you wear it proudly. We also all know the feeling when a project fails for whatever reason and it is thrown in the scrap bin in frustration and annoyance. But what about those times when a project is neither of those things? When it isn't quite a success and it isn't quite a failure either. With renewed excitement and motivation, I decided to start off 2021 by sewing one of my Make 9 choices, Vogue 1680, out of a printed rayon chally. As I began to work on this project, I began to get little hints that this was not going to turn out the way I expected. Since my bust measurement is in between sizes, I decided to cut up a size. And as I was cutting, I remembered how rayon chally has a tendency to get bigger as you work with it, and I was struggling with cutting it out accurately. As I began to work my way through the steps of the construction, I realized the pattern was more complicated than I had thought originally. The twisting and draping of the front is constructed out of 7 pattern pieces. There are pleats, tucks, gathers, darts, an overlay, sleeves, and a zipper. Not to mention there are many, many narrow hems to complete. After trying it on halfway through, I realized that not only was it going to be too big, the top seemed to be having an identity crisis. The print seemed busier, the construction seemed chaotic, and there was so much fabric draped on the front of my body. This is where I lost my motivation. I decided to finish the project though, but knowing these issues, I got lazy with the construction and I stretched out the sleeve cap, causing puckering that I just couldn't fix. Now I have to emphasize, this is not a total failure. Technically, it's actually okay. It's a wearable garment, and on camera, I don't think it actually looks that bad. But I don't like the way it makes me feel. I feel frumpy in it. I don't feel like it's my style. It is so hard to admit that to yourself though, when you just spent so much time making something, but I know I'm not the only one. For whatever reason, ideas in our head don't always materialize the way we might expect. It's disappointing and discouraging, and it would almost be easier if it was a total flop. So what do we do in these situations? We just spent time and money on something that isn't a complete fail, but we don't totally love. Do we force ourselves to wear it? Do we stash it in the back of our closet, never to be seen again? Pretend it never happened? We can do any of these things. You can choose your own adventure. But to look at the bigger picture, we should remember that there is always something to learn, and learning is the thing that helps us grow as sewists and as people. I believe that learning is one of the most powerful gifts we have as humans. So here's what I learned. As I mentioned, there were many techniques included in this pattern. I learned more about how rayon chally behaves and how my vintage Singer 99K handles it. I learned that I should always look ahead at the construction of a garment and think about fabric choice. I learned the wonders of wonder tape when it comes to narrow hems. And maybe in the future I will learn how to refashion this piece into something that feels more like my style. So I'd love to hear about your gray area projects. What went wrong? What did you end up doing with them? And most importantly, what did you learn from them?